McCarthy lecture series, Embedded, War and the Fourth Estate. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Heather Sturr. I'm a faculty fellow in the Dale Center for the Study of War and Society. I'm a professor in the history department. And I'm the coordinator for this year's lecture series. Before I begin with our introductions, I would like to invite you to please take a mug for free if you would like a mug. We're giving them away in part because we have a new logo, so these are the old logo mugs. But they're vintage now.
They're classic and worth a lot on eBay.
And they're classic and worth a lot on eBay, so please take one. Feel free. It's, first come, first serve. There are only a few left, so definitely get them. There's also information about the Dale Center, about our programming, about our graduate program, and about becoming a supporter of the Dale Center. So if you're interested, please feel free to take some literature as well as your vintage mug. So, like I said last week, for those of you who weren't here, on behalf of the Dale Center, I would like to thank Dr. Richard McCarthy and Dr. Craig Howard. It is because of their generous support of the Dale Center that we are able to continue running the lecture series, and we're in our 10th year of doing the McCarthy Lecture Series. This is one of our biggest forms of community outreach, and it allows us to connect both the Southern Miss community and the greater Hattiesburg community with leading scholars on the subject of war and society, and also men and women who have been there. So again, a really wonderful form of outreach for us, and we thank Dr. McCarthy and Dr. Howard for their continuing support of our programming. It's a privilege to introduce tonight's speaker, Dr. Major General Buford Blount. Major General Blount retired from the U.S. Army in 2005 after a distinguished career that included significant involvement in the Middle East. He was the commanding general of the 3rd Infantry Division at Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield in Georgia, and he led the 3rd Infantry Division into Baghdad in 2003, led the 3rd Infantry in the siege and capturing of Baghdad after 21 days of continuous fighting. The TV journalist Ted Koppel of Nightline and other journalists were embedded with the 3rd Infantry in Baghdad, and that's going to be the subject of Major General Blount's talk tonight. Before he commanded the 3rd Infantry, General Blount was stationed in Saudi Arabia, where he was the program manager for the Saudi Arabian National Guard Modernization Program, and was a military advisor to King Abdullah. So really fascinating and wide-reaching service in the Middle East. Major General Blount has received numerous awards throughout his career, including the Distinguished Service Medal, the Silver Star, the Legion of Merit, the Meritorious Service Medal, and the Army Commendation Medal. In addition to all of those accolades, Major General Blount is also a graduate of the University of Southern Mississippi, graduating in 1971, and he was also a student in the ROTC program and was commissioned an armor officer upon graduation. He also holds a Master of Science degree in National Security and Strategic Studies from the U.S. Naval War College. Major General Blount and his wife Anita, who is also a Southern Miss grad, are longtime supporters of the Dale Center, and they have endowed the Blount Professorship in Military History, which is a 2-year appointment that's awarded to a faculty member on the History Department who is working on a book on a war and society topic. The Blount Professorship is currently held by Dr. Susanna Ural, who is working on her 4th book, Hood's Boys, John Bell Hood's Texas Brigade in the American Civil War. So on behalf of the Dale Center, I would like to thank Major General Blount and Mrs. Blount for their continued support of our work. And now, may I please invite you all to help me welcome General Blount and listen to his talk, The General and the Journalist, Embedded Media, the 3rd Infantry Division, and Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Excuse me.
It's a real honor to represent the Dale Center and talk to you a little bit about the 3rd Infantry Division, about our great soldiers. And tonight, I'm going to talk about the media and the relationship of the military with the media and the efforts we went through with the embedded media, and also a lot of lessons we learned. And I'll couch it in terms of our attack in Iraq and how that went, and then how we got along with our media brothers. I came in the Army in '71, and media was a dirty word. I mean, you didn't talk to reporters. You didn't ever want to get quoted, because they always got it wrong. They always quote you out of context. And even today, at your installations, you've got your gate set up, and for a reporter to come on and talk to a soldier, they've got to go through our public affairs office. You've got to request permission. They'll be escorted. There'll be an escort officer there that monitors the questions, the interviews, and the embedded process is totally different from that. I was a general's aide for 2 years, a division commander's aide, and he told me, he gave me his list of golden rules. These are 5 or 6 things that you must do and must never do. And one of them was never leave me alone with a reporter. So I always want you there as a witness. And said, and you remember what I say, when I get to the report. And that was it was not a good relationship. Now, we've had embedded media since before the Civil War. I mean, we've had them, all of our conflicts have had different types of embedded media, different media coverage. Sometimes they all stay in a hotel, send out runners and get information and report it, or one guy will go out and get the story and come back and they'll multi-report it. But with the embedded process, when you become a general, one of the things you do is you have to go to a 2-day media course, and they teach you how to deal with the media, as a new general. And because all generals are going to be before the press at one time or another, so they take you go to Washington and they spend a couple of days teaching you about a day really teaching you how to and encourage you to do it too. I mean, they encourage you to talk to the media. So the military is not seen in the best light all the time, and our relationship with the press is not good. And so we need you out there, telling your story and talking about our great young men and women to the public, because so few of them are in the military today, and we need to. Now, this was before Iraq and Afghanistan now, but still recovering from Vietnam and other media stories that did not go so well. So got a couple of multimedia things to show you. I've got, of course, my PowerPoint slides. I'm going to show you in a few minutes. But I've got ABC put together about a 2-hour documentary when Ted Koppel got back. 9 people, ABC Network did that. I'll show you about 5 or 6 minutes of that, and we'll cut it off. But, this talks, tells you how great I am. Sorry, yes. But it lets Ted talk, and his editor and the director of Nightline talk about their experiences as embeds. And we talk a little bit about censorship, those types of things. It's just a good background for the talk today, so we can go ahead and start that. I guess I can shut the lights down.
What I wanted to do all along was to be, until the spirit has become the term that everybody uses, but we wanted to be as far as we could.
Major General Buford Blount. The planners of this war had determined that his armored columns will be quite literally the tip of the spear thrust at Baghdad.
It's a heavy armored division. Literally hundreds of tanks, Bradley fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and Humvees.
The division is just shy of 20,000 men and women.
Everybody took their orders to General Blount. General Blount is the commander of the 3rd ID.
General Blount is the quintessential general. I think if we were going to cast a general's role, he would be it.
He's a tall, courtly Mississippian who speaks very softly, the opposite of a showboat.
The moment is at hand. Now what's going through your head? Butterflies in the stomach?
not butterflies yet, but it's sobering. We're continually thinking about the soldiers, the families, and their welfare. I try to make sure that they all come back safely.
Has an amazing knack of eating an MRE in a vehicle on the move. Couldn't have been nicer, couldn't have been friendlier, couldn't have been more helpful. I'm sure he can be intimidating. I never saw it.
You're going to be a man. We will basically have like we're doing here, we're going to have a platoon at each one of these places.
What we didn't know was how much access we have.
We met with General Blount, I think, twice before Ted got there. It was almost an instant friendship between he and Ted.
I don't think it was instantaneous. I mean, I think we had to feel each other out a little bit at the beginning.
One talking in a sense, or
No briefing was off limits to us, no information was off limits, no question couldn't be asked. And General Blount from the very first meeting said, I'm not going to look over your shoulder, I'm not going to go through what you're doing. You guys know what you should and shouldn't do, we're going to trust you.
I was very impressed by the fact that General Blount was as open about bad things that were happening.
were you shooting at now?
Every once in a while you would hear them say, we've got a condition black on ammunition. That meant we're out of ammunition. And I thought, wow, this is so different from every other relationship I've ever had with the military, where you have to sort of pry out the negative information.
No censorship?
No censorship.
No need for any one of your people to look at the videotape before it goes on the satellite?
We're going to rely on you to use your judgment, and we're going to make some mistakes, and you can probably catch it on film, and it's all right. We're going to, if that's what happened, then
It's just after 4 in the morning.
And protect your country. Buford.
The commander of the 3rd Infantry Division and I are sitting inside his operational headquarters watching a live television transmission of the President addressing the American people.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours. Their refusal to do so will result in military conflict, commenced at a time of our choosing.
most of your men and women are still asleep. Haven't heard it. What are you going to tell them in the morning? I've been waiting for this. This will be really the pre-notification that something's going to happen.
On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance. These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign.
Initially, they had wanted to begin the assault at the dark of the moon, but it wasn't. It was almost a full moon, so it was a very, very bright night. I knew that those cruise missiles, I mean, again, that's something that I knew 3 days before it was going to happen. General Blount had shared with me when it was going to happen, how it was going to happen, and that the cruise missiles would be striking Baghdad literally just a couple of hours before the land invasion began. That was the kind of thing I could not report.
Hello, Washington. This is the Copper remote. This is Embed 1.
Peter, can you hear me?
Very clearly, Ted, go ahead.
All right, excellent. I must say I was trying to think of something that would be appropriate to say on an occasion like this, and as is often the case, the best you can come up with is something that Shakespeare wrote for Henry V, to wreak havoc and unleash the dogs of war.
First morning crossing the berm, General Blount, very media savvy, very conscious of the fact that that first picture was important to us. And he made sure that our camera crew and Leroy and I were going to be there when that happened.
We knew they were going at 6. We were actually running a little bit late. We were rolling up at General Blount, so there was this endless line of military vehicles waiting to cross.
One of the extraordinary feelings for me was arriving with General Blount in his converted Bradley vehicle, converted because you could stand up in it.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, about 2, and there was a lot of combat stuff that was cut out of this, but want to talk about the embed process. Okay. This is my division patch, 3rd Infantry Division patch. I was selected to be we have 10 divisions in the Army. I was selected to be the honor to command this great division. If you'll notice, we have a memorial that had to do, unfortunately, with a Sunday memorial service where we got okay, I'm sitting in Kuwait. We're down here about 6 months. You know, as a political process, as we're getting ready to attack and deploying troops and letting the, Secretary of State go to the UN and all this negotiations going on. But we're down in Kuwait, and we've got a series of attack plans to get, objectives to get to Baghdad, and the decision was made that we let the media tell the story. And just show you what these are my different objectives I had to, potential WMD size of the attack. Potential WMD size cleared. As we move north, they clear some out, and I get my guys back. Okay, what about use some statistics here. I had 20,000 soldiers in my division, plus about 5,000 from the 101st and the Corps that rode with me most of the way. Consumed 4 million gallons of fuel. I spent more time planning fuel than just about anything else, because the tank consumes about 500 gallons a day. So it takes a lot of fuel. And 250 of those. Ate a lot of meals ready to eat, MREs. Now, we had to carry everything with us. There was nothing, we're moving north, and if we didn't carry it with us, we weren't going to have it. And so every truck was loaded, every tank, every Bradley, everything that we owned, we were carrying north with us. There's just going to be a constant flow of vehicles. We had 10 crossing points on the border that we had to access to cross over into Iraq, and I had to move these 10,000 vehicles on those, and then it all came down to one road. All 10,000 vehicles had to move on one road, going north, and then there were probably another 6,000 or 7,000 vehicles following me, with other Corps assets, 101st, 82nd, etc. Coming. So a lot of traffic on one road. And of course I had to carry on the water. Like I said, we were there about 6 months. Great training environment for us. So our guys, at that time, we were the best trained division in the world, without a doubt. We had a lot of time, fuel, and equipment there to train. We had a lot of technology given to us as we're getting ready to attack. And I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. And also gave us time to link up with our media. That's going to be the focus on the attack. It's not going to be on the war necessarily, but mostly on the media. But there in Kuwait, we were given Blue Force Tracker, which basically was a computer on all the leaders' tanks, so that I could see where all my leaders were. It showed what direction they were moving and how fast they were moving. Just really a great technology. We got had night vision, had communication stuff given to us. A lot of this stuff that we not had before, so we had time there in Iraq to practice using it, and it really changed how we did business. I had a lot of access to satellite imagery, so I made the decision to split my division, send half my division out through the desert on a desert track to try to split up my 10,000 vehicles on 2 different roads. It all ended up on one road, but for this first part of the fight, I wanted to get my couple of my armor columns out this direction to secure a sunwall. But we were able to pull down this imagery off the satellite and look at every foot of that road to determine whether it would carry the tanks, whether it would carry the big fuel trucks. And so the technology gave me the confidence to make that decision to do that, and it worked out well. But we're in Kuwait, and we get our, you know, the guidance. We already had guidance on embedding the media. We knew we were going to have media teams with us. My division got 85 different media teams, or some, you know, probably half of those were one person. But here's the military definition of embed, basically. This is Chris Tomlinson. He's a AP guy. Eating his MRE and the back of my brother there. But he had, I think he's in Texas. I just finished Tomlinson Hill. That's the name of it. But he's one of our embed guys. But they had to go through some training back at, I think they had some in Fort Benning and at Camp Lejeune, teaching them how to put on their gas mask and their chemical suit and how to do a road march. And so that's all the U.S. Networks and all their people to this. And so they, you know, be a little bit familiar with the military. Foreign media didn't go through this. And I had about half of my media teams were from other countries, from Japan, Russia, Middle East, you know, all over. I met with them at the Holiday Inn in Kuwait City. And that's where they were all staying. So I went down, I came out of the desert, and went down and got to sit in an air-conditioned building there and talked to these guys. And kind of laid out we met each other, and I laid out my guideline. You know, here are my rules. You know, you got the Army rules, but here are my requirements, and this is how we're going to work. And I had my, you know, we had our 85 teams divided up. And I was going to carry a couple of teams with me at the division level, and then I gave partial the rest of them out to the brigade commanders, and put a major network with each of the, you know, ABC with me, CNN, Fox, you know, NBC, CBS, put all of them with major brigade units, and then we had, you know, probably 40 guys show up with backpacks, and, you know, here we are. Let's see. I'll get back to the thought in a second. But this is the key to, you know, the embed process from our perspective, is to get the American soldier story out to the public, because so many people have not been in the military. Now, you know, this is, you know, before Iraq and Afghanistan has gotten all the publicity it's gotten. So when we made the decision to embed, we're still on recovering from Vietnam and Panama and Haiti, and pretty bad experiences with the media from all three of those operations. So we really, the Army wanted a success story here, and the intent was to get the word out about how good our soldiers were and are. And had a lot of visitors. I'll just run through some of these. You know, Brokaw, Dan Rather, Diane Sawyer. That's Fox News team in, Brian Killeney, came over for a couple of days with us. All of these came and left. You know, they didn't embed. You know, they came over and spent some time with us in Kuwait, and you know, did their story, set up a broadcast for 4 or 5 days, and then left. Koppel came over. He was he decided to embed. His first war was Vietnam. He did a lot of reporting out of Vietnam, and then done 3 other conflicts. So he said this was his last war. But he came over, and as his team had linked up with me ahead of time, and you know, we developed a relationship. So I liked them, so I made a decision to keep them at the division level. This is guidance we had from Washington. About half of it I ignored. You know, their concept was, you know, all the embedded media will ride with you. And I said, okay, now remember, I'm carrying everything we anywhere. So, you know, CNN, well, everybody showed up with their own vehicles, and some of them didn't have them yet, but they, once they got the, you know, once I gave them the okay, they went out and bought them. But this is CNN's vehicle here, and it's got satellite, about $50 million satellite communications pod up there, plus the TV. And they got generators, and they probably Ted Koppel's vehicles, like they have two vehicles. Because just with the cameraman, the sound man, and the guy who run all this stuff and load it and unload it. We moved a lot, and so they had their battle drills where they'd stop and they could set up in about 15 minutes and be broadcasting. And this one could actually broadcast on the move. They had better communications than I had. And seriously, but I told them they could bring their own vehicles, and there was immediately run on. There were a lot of these Humvees from the first Gulf War in Kuwait City, that the Army had left, and so they fixed them up, and they got a fortune for them, and sold them to the Navy. It didn't have to be a Humvee; it just had to be able to run on our fuel was the requirement, and so we preferred a military type vehicle, so if it broke down, we could help them fix it. But they came with their own stuff. In most cases, like I said, I had about 40, 45 that did ride with us, and we had to find space for in Bradleys or tanks or trucks. Our main guidance to these guys was, and it was, we never had a problem. But first thing we said, you can't show a map of what we're going to be doing tomorrow or the next day. And that never was a problem because they were riding with us. And so, they don't want to show the enemy where we're going to be attacking tomorrow. Then, the other guidance was you can't show, I don't want a family back at Fort Stewart, Georgia to see their spouse wounded or dead. That'd be the first notification, to see that on, Nightline or one of the news shows, to find out that their father or spouse had been killed, or even that the vehicle had been destroyed. So we classified information. We brought them in to all of that. Let them have pretty much free access to that. And it's they're riding with you, so when you get lined up to attack, they know what you're going to do. They know you're going to attack, and so why not? If you go ahead and tell them that you're going to attack tomorrow at 8, they can't report that. But if you don't tell them, they can report, hey, they're lining up to attack. So by bringing them in and getting them read into the situation, it prevented a lot of. Like I said, we never had a problem. Now I think Geraldo he was with the Marine Corps. He stepped out of line a couple of times, but our guys never did. We never had a problem with him. This is one advantage to having a lot of media with you is you get a lot of good pictures. Really, they're just phenomenal pictures, and some of them very graphic. When we show those tonight, but we have some great photographers around with us. Just want to show you 2 or 3 things with this picture. One is this bridge up there. This is our first crossing on the Euphrates, and this is the bridge that we had to secure for the Marines to cross over in about 3 days. They were following us, and so we had to secure this bridge and then hand it over to them in 3 days. So the bridge was not finished. And we've been watching it. And back at Fort Stewart, we had satellite every week. The satellite would pass over this bridge, and we were watching them build it, for 6 months, and they wouldn't finish it. They said we found out whether they're short money. We're trying to figure out how we can send them some money, so we France somehow to finish the bridge. But they didn't. But we knew, because of our technology, we knew exactly what we needed to finish the bridge. And there were 6 feet on either end that they left open, basically to keep people off of it. And so we had our engineer resources available, ready to fill the 6 feet in and mark back it very quickly. So that was up front with our tank, and behind our tanks with the engineers to finish this bridge. But because of our technology, we knew that's what we needed to do. So it takes about an hour and a half to, on each end to finish the bridge out. At this time, I don't know if you remember Jessica Lynch, but her convoy was, ambushed. That's actually going on when this picture's taken in the background, and that's on Azaria. course, we knew nothing about it, but they had made a wrong turn and ended up downtown Al-Nasiriyah, getting shot up at this time period. But they were not part of our unit. But I found out a month later that I actually had two of my vehicles that ended up in their convoy. And after we got to Baghdad, we just couldn't find these two vehicles, and reported them missing, and we searched, and then we finally, after all the interviews were done, found out two of our vehicles had broken down and gotten into their convoy, and they'd gotten killed in Al-Nasiriyah. And so we went down and found their bodies about a month later before we got all the interviews and figured out what happened to these two vehicles. And so that's Al-Nasiriyah in the background there. Like I said, told them there's no censorship, and so they're broadcasting live. When we rolled tanks through the Burma into Iraq, now we had actually secured that area at night. Iraqis had a security force there, so we had to go in and secure the crossing sites, and had landmines and tank ditches and barbed wire, had to take care of all that. We rolled at 6 o'clock in the morning, but the night before they'd gone, reconnaissance elements had gone out and killed their defensive perimeter out there, and allowed us to roll at 6. But Ted was able to broadcast. I was only live broadcast of because everybody else was packed up moving, but they were able to broadcast live of the first tanks rolling into Iraq, which I knew was a big event. But you've got so many cameras, so many people recording stuff on the battlefield. Just even today, I'll read stuff I didn't know happened. Somebody writes a book, and that's did not know that was happening or had been recorded. Here's a picture that these names Baghdad we recognize. We knew what Baghdad was, but these other Abu Ghraib, Fallujah, we never heard of those. They became such a key part of the history in Iraq to the military afterwards. Like that picture because of that. And this is to show you how loaded all the vehicles were. This is an engineer vehicle. He's got his barbed wire strapped here. He's got these are flags to when you open a minefield up, you go by and plant these flags in the ground so vehicles can see where the minefield has been cleared. And so everything these soldiers own, they're strapped on the sides of the vehicles. And, this is we crossed the Euphrates 6 times. We see 6 different bridges. First one was for the Marine Corps. The other, we did 4 for deception. We really didn't want them to know where we were going to make our main effort. So we would see, as we moved north along the Euphrates, we would see different bridges. This is one where, actually, deception, we never crossed the bridge, but we wanted the enemy to think we were. But they had rounded up about 20 women, and we're using them as a shield. They put them on the bridge. They had soldiers behind them, but we're using the women on the bridge as a shield. And this woman broke away and ran towards the Americans, and they shot her. Shot her in the hip, and she went down. So the Americans, our captain there put smoke out, and then went out and got her, brought her back over, treated her, and she lived. But that's what that picture is. Those types of things were happening every day, and were being captured by the media. Some great stories. Now we started out here in Kuwait, had about 340 miles to go to get to Baghdad. It was a linear attack, so the yellow star clusters there are where we had contact, where fights were going on. So every day we usually had about 4 different fights going on, 4 different cities. We were, we didn't want to go into the city. We didn't need to occupy the cities at this point. Our mission was to get to Baghdad, and get rid of Saddam, set the condition for the new government to take over. Our mission was not to occupy the country. It was not to destroy the military. It was to get to Baghdad and stabilize Baghdad and get rid of Saddam and set the condition for the new government. So we were focused on getting to Baghdad. But we had to secure our lines of communication, so we had to, we couldn't leave enemy there that could, shoot our supply trucks. So we had to secure every city all the way up there. So we had to fight. And they came out and fought that. One of these cities, they were well defended. Saddam sent forces down to every city, and they attacked and attacked and attacked. And so we, as we, we would move north. And as we would get further north, then the 82nd or 101st would come in and relieve our unit, and then they would leapfrog up to the lead. So, Silent 82nd, relieved us here. Marines relieved us here, and the 82nd here, and the 101st here, and allowed us to then free our troops to move on up to Baghdad. If anybody got any questions, go ahead and ask them.
General Blount, can you tell us some of those symbols, what they mean, the
Okay.
the squares and circles and stuff?
Okay, these are military symbols. Blues infantry, mechanized infantry, because it's got a track in there. And red and white's my CAV squad, and yellow is armor guys. So these are about 1,800 man units, 1,800 men in each of these, with probably another 1,000 supporting them. And so, this is a brigade up here. So these are all brigades here with my CAV squadron. He's not supposed to be there, by the way. He's supposed to be. He got off the road and got on the wrong road and ended up down the Pfeiffer's life. I mean, 36. They shot every round of ammunition they had twice for 2 days straight. They just got in a hornet's nest, and they made a wrong turn and couldn't get turned around, and so they decided to go ahead and attack down the road they were on, and they ended up having to leave 2 tanks, and a bridge collapsed on them. So we went back at them later. There was a question.
On your convoy, I know in '91, Saddam had planted chemical and weapons stores underneath the ground for if we were going to attack Baghdad, he would unload. Did you run into any of that on your convoy? Old stores from that first conflict in '91?
He had so much stuff.
Yeah.
They dug along the Euphrates. I don't know how many backhoes they had working, but we probably encountered 3,000 fighting positions. Just every. They just sent these backhoes down, just dug, fighting positions, and they trained all the civilians to occupy them and give them weapons, and it just, they really were going to defend the Euphrates. It was hard to tell. We had, around Baghdad, they had some oil ditches filled with oil, and they had a lot of different stuff. Hard to say anything was left over from first Gulf War, though. I think they kind of redid everything, But let's go to the next slide. Let the media come into our briefing. So I got all my commanders here. They're sitting on one side or behind. I briefed them on our final. This is I got my commanders together twice, during the conflict there. So this is when the sandstorm's over, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I'm briefing them on the attack plan going into Baghdad. So when that picture's taken, we're sitting down here, and I briefed them on this plan. What we have here is my CAV squadron is going to be screening towards Jordan over here, because there was a division out there, and then I had a Karbala gap here as one of our key objectives. It's kind of a choke point where everything's channeled down to about a 200-yard area here, where we're a very easy target for chemical attack. And so everybody, all the intel guys said that's where they'll hit you with chemicals, is in the Karbala gap. And so we wanted to get through there quickly. That's the only place to go, because of the Euphrates River and the dam, the lake over here. You had to go through here, and so that was a key place. I put a brigade there to secure that area. Then we're going to attack up, seize the final crossing at the Euphrates River, and then push the armor force through. And then we had to go down and kill all these guys, the remnants of the Medina. There were 2 divisions down here that we needed to wrap up, and then go into Baghdad. But the media saw all that. They were there for the briefing. Now, Ted Koppel, he said he knew 3 days in advance when the Tomahawks were going to go in. He's exaggerating a little bit. I didn't know that. I told him what was going to happen, but I didn't know when. And nobody did at that point, until the president made the decision. And then we had about 48 hours notice that they were going to happen. But there was a lot of discussion about, the Air Force wanted to bomb for 2 weeks, before the ground attack started, and so we had a lot of discussion going on about when they're going to release the ground attack. This is another example where the media actually placed cameras. They bought, one crew had 10 cameras, small cameras, video cameras, and they would put them on the tanks. Because, the media's not going to write on the tank, but they would put these cameras on there and just turn them on, and then, if they survived, and, after the battle's over, they get the footage. And so it's just, this is a camera mounted on a tank next to a cupola, and one of the fights, that's a T-72 burning there. But like I said, just got a lot of great pictures. This is one, we did a rubber boat assault across the Euphrates, first one since the Korean War for the Army. This is great young Americans there, engineers going across the river. The patch shows up great, and I just really like that picture. Here's another one. Now this is Euphrates River is down here, and the boat's just going across. Now there were charges on all the columns for the bridge. They actually blown one part of the bridge, but this guy's hanging upside down now over the Euphrates River, and he's cutting this. There are explosives in this hole here, and he's cutting the wires to the explosives. So that's a brave young man there. So the ropes, I'm not sure how they got the rope all the way around. He's down there doing that. But there again, the photographer was able to catch that on film. This is one of my brigade headquarters after we got hit with a rocket. We lost two soldiers, 2 reporters were killed in this attack, and 22 vehicles were destroyed. We had a lot of people injured, but about 45 injured, but only 2 ended up dying. So, but this is my 2nd Brigade headquarters. But here were 2 reporters that had been riding with the logistics train for the brigade, and this is as we're getting ready to go into Baghdad, and they said, hey, can we come up closer to the front? We've been riding in the back, for 20 days now. Can we come up front to see, see some of the action? So they brought them up to the brigade headquarters, thinking that's a pretty good, that's a big organization that'd be safe there in brigade headquarters, and they ended up getting killed in this rocket attack here. Here's, Saddam's pictures everywhere. He was very proud of himself, and wanted his picture plastered everywhere. He had his embedded media too. That's what we call it Baghdad Bob. This is information manager, and he was reporting that we were not at the airport, and that we'd been defeated, and even they went out to the. Said they'd gone out to the airport, and there were no Americans here, and 100 miles south, and going back to Kuwait, the military was victorious, and Americans were losing, and continued to fight the Americans. And so we wanted to discredit this guy, because at the same time he's saying that, I'm sitting out there at the airport. So that's a tool where we used the embedded media to get that story out. Here the Americans are at the airport. They are around, surrounded Baghdad. We really had to, his misinformation, everybody believed it, and so, we're rolling, tank battalion, that 50-something tanks, and Bradley's rolling down through the middle of Baghdad, and everybody's going to work as normal. We've got traffic jams, and, everybody's on, all the shops are open, all the streets, and you got hundreds and thousands of cars there, like driving down 98 West, rush hour, and put 50 tanks through there. And it resulted in a lot of people, civilians getting killed, because they were also fighting. They had their elements along the roads, and so a lot of civilians got trapped, and vehicles got. Didn't realize they really believed that we were been defeated and were 100 miles south of Baghdad when we were actually downtown. And so we use the media to try to get the word out, that hey, we are here, and we want to, the military to stop fighting us. But yeah, the airport was our first main objective in Baghdad, and it's on the western side of Baghdad. But that was an eerie feeling going through the international airport. All you've been through airports, you've got thousands and thousands of people there in airplanes. There's a lot of activity. I mean, there was nobody after we, killed the defensive guys there. We walked through the airport. I mean, there was nobody. It was completely shut down. And we found out later it had been shut down for about 6 months. And they had actually taken all the engines off the jets. And you can see they removed all, they had about 15 airliners parked around, but they thought if they removed the engines, then the Air Force wouldn't destroy them. When the Air Force was bombing, and they didn't. And so, our Air Force never targeted them. So they probably get back to use today. But we secured the airport, and but going through the terminals there, and all the gift shops, duty-free stuff, that had all been emptied out. I mean, just all and this was a fairly modern airport, and had all the shops there that have. And there was one with liquor in it, and that was the only one that had not been emptied. I don't know why, but I mean, just others were just spick and span, not a thing in them, just all empty shelves, and they hadn't really, I mean, they just, people had just moved everything out. But this one shop that had all the alcohol, duty-free alcohol, was just sitting there, had a lock on it, but so we had to guard that extra. CIA found it. CIA actually set up a bar. And invited me over a happy hour a couple of times. We were on a non-alcohol policy, a very strict non-alcohol policy. But the CIA actually took it out and set up a lounge. Then we got downtown Baghdad, sees that. This is on the 7th. These are some famous. This is where Saddam stands up there for the soldiers march down and do the parade. These are cross sections. These are actually, his hands were used to model these are huge. Now I'm standing underneath one set on them. You can't even see them. And then down here you can just see the tops. So these are Iranian helmets. He put Iranian helmets that were captured in the Iraq-Iran War. Those are actually cemented in the ground there. So his soldiers, when they march on, are walking over the helmets of the Iranian soldiers. So it was just like a speed bump going across there. But probably a couple hundred helmets there that he had put in position there. So all of his soldiers would walk over them.
What are those? Oh, I'm sorry. What are those on the sides?
Speakers.
Oh,
over here.
Yeah.
Lights and speakers. And this is a big parade field. I mean, this is like a Superdome Stadium type amphitheater thing. I got grandstands all up through here. This is where Saddam stands up and shoots his, got his fedora on and holding a shotgun. So there's a view. But we're still, this is on the 7th. Marine Corps gets in on the 9th, I think, and tears down, the statue gets torn down a couple of days later. But we've got our side. We're on the west side of the Tigris River, and they wouldn't let us cross. We don't go ahead and we kept having to fight guys on the east side, but that's the Marine Corps. They want the Marines to seize the east side of the Tigris, so we had to continue to fight. They wouldn't let us cross the bridges. We could get on the bridges, but we couldn't cross them over the Tigris River. This is one of the bridges going over the Tigris after Marines had gotten there. This is a pretty big overpass here, but Saddam's picture was up there, and I told my guys, we've been there about a week, and I said, hey, get rid of Saddam's picture, cover it up with something. So next day I go through, they've got a division patch over it. Somehow they got it done. Then we come back, another President came down to welcome us back to Fort Stewart, give us some awards, and like this picture. This is for the I talked to some of the RTC leaders earlier today, and I always use this as a good leadership picture because the focus needs to be on the soldiers, not on the leaders. This is, we're out of focus there, but the guys that need to be focused on are in focus. So, you got to keep the focus on the soldiers. Had a very good day with him. He was a good, got to know him, we spent we scheduled an hour to talk to soldiers' families that had been killed. Lost 45 soldiers, and he wanted to speak to many of the families that would get together there, and he scheduled an hour for that, just him, and he asked me to join him, but it's just no press, no aides, just he walked in alone, and we had me with him. We ended up spending three and a half hours in there talking to the families. It was very emotional, touching. So, I usually just say freedom is not free, but I'll say freedom of the press, is not free. It cost us a lot. These are soldiers that I lost, and these are reporters that were killed or died. David Blount had an aneurysm and passed, but these are the others that were killed during our attack. So it's war is a dirty, tough business, and it does cost us. But I consider the embedded media a success. I think we got our story out. A lot of books. There's going to be some movies coming out fairly soon. Thunder Run, a couple other things, but I didn't see it. I mean, people back here got to see it. I was Ted Koppel occasionally would tell me what the media is saying, but I had no exposure to it. We didn't have at our division command post when we stop, we can usually get satellite TV and you'll see it and something like that. But when we were moving most of the time. In fact, in those 21 days, I never saw any news footage whatsoever. Ted Koppel would call back to the networks in New York, and they would kind of summarize what all the different other networks are saying. And they talked about the sandstorm, the quagmire, and how we're slow, bogged down a couple times. I consider it a success, and think the American people got a good look at our great soldiers, what they can do, and my soldiers we never had a problem. Never listened. Since we've had other problems and other problems over there, but during our time period, it went extremely well, and very proud of what both sides, what the soldiers did. Now there are accusations that the media become co-opted, they're not reporting fairly, and to some degree that's true. They're riding with soldiers, but they get to see, when we killed innocent people. We killed, a couple of cases where we killed families, in a van or a car or something, which wouldn't stop. But the reporter was there on site and had seen the day before when another car came up and killed 4 soldiers, and so the very same unit, about 4 miles down the road, another car comes up and doesn't stop. They fire the warning shots, and then they open fire, by following the rules of engagement. They engaged the vehicle. It ended up being a family of about 6 people that were killed. So, but the media was right there and saw it, and it never became an issue because they understood. They saw what the soldiers did. They all acted properly, and so it didn't become a negative story out there. So, to some degree, we did co-opt them, but like I told them up front, if something bad happens, you're free to report it. Because, our guys looked at it like we were the good guy. We're liberating, and we acted like liberators, and we're treated like liberators. The Iraqis welcomed us as a general. If they weren't shooting at us, they were welcoming us. Eventually, we got more welcoming us than shooting at us. So they only got one shot.
Do you think that was a difference between this Iraq war and the media versus Vietnam and the media, that there were more, I know CBS embedded with Vietnam soldiers, but there was so much misunderstanding with, killing of innocents and the paranoia that our soldiers were under because of mines and the civilian, essence there being participators in the war. There's a difference with that?
Well, one thing I'll say is we're a much better army. We're a volunteer army. Okay, and all of our soldiers are volunteers, and they're smart, they're educated, they're dedicated professionals. And I can't say how impressed I am with our young men and women that are in our military today. They have a great job that they do. That makes it a lot easier to handle. I mean, you do have some bad eggs, of course, but as a general rule. In Vietnam, you had nobody wanted to be there. Just drugs, racial problems. We had a terrible. I came in 71. It was a terrible army. I mean, it was not a good army.
Afterwards.
We learned our lessons, and the military tried to cover a lot of things up. Bad things happened, and here we didn't. We didn't cover anything up. So, like I told them, if it happens, you're free to report it.
So when troops deploy, there's training and preparation for anything for battle. When the media comes over, I'm pretty sure you guys had some kind of morale problem with those guys. You imagine those guys that went to that training center, that center there, and got blown up. They said, "Oh, we want to move forward." And they go over there, and a rocket hits the thing and blows it up. So I imagine most of the other guys are kind of like, well, hey, I may want to back out of this deal.
Well, we. I think one of the points I wanted to make. Because we lost all our embeds. After we got to Baghdad, and Ted Koppel stayed there with us for about a week, and the war is over basically. The president declared victory, and so hey, these guys have it's been a month since they've had a shower, and Ted hasn't washed his hair, which is his hair. But he's got ready to go home. Right. And so they all left. And then the unembedded media shows up. So they go down to the hotel. And then you start getting they're not living with the soldiers, they're not seeing the soldiers every day. They stay in a hotel, they come out for a couple of hours, get a story, come back in. And they want the Pulitzer Prize story. They don't want to go to the hospital and see us open the hospital back up and treating patients or going to schools and putting soccer field, all the good things, we're trying to win the hearts and minds, all those things. So they do one story on it, and then, well, what are you doing today? Well, we're doing this and this and this. Well, we've seen that. We don't want to see that. What else is happening? There's a fire over there. What's happening there? So they want to go see something bad and report on it. So there was a clear difference when the embeds left and the other guys showed up. They were staying in the hotel, and then they would come out occasionally and report. So that was another reason for the embed.
Sir, did you choose the number of embeds that you would have and who they would be, or was that directed?
It was directed. They tried to, they gave the Marine Corps, us about the same number. Now I have my public relations guy, public affairs officer. We sat down and went, okay, let's put ABC with, so we decided who would go with, which commanders, and I kind of gamed and shit out a little bit. Okay, this guy's better with the press than this guy, so let's put, we put some thought into it. We just didn't let it happen. So we tried to control it, who went where.
Colonel Blount, you now, as I think of it, have been witness to 3.5 wars. And each of these press coverage has been given. The public relations system has worked or not worked, or however you look at it. You have suggestions about change.
Well, we've got to always be the good guys, and so that we're not doing anything we're ashamed that gets reported. As long as we continue to have clear guidance, and our soldiers have clear guidance, and they know what the rules of engagement are, they know what's right and wrong, and our soldiers do. They know, and so it's just a lot easier when you can turn the media loose and let them report on anything. So we've got to, I feel we need to keep something secret, personally from the military. I mean, we need to, develop systems, and we don't need to tell everybody that we're going to be flying reconnaissance over Syria. before we do it. Or we don't need to tell them we're going to do bombing ISIS. I mean, that to me, we as civilians don't have the right to know that. Some people think we do, but I think that when you give the enemy undue notification you're going to do something. We were monitoring bin Laden's cell phone conversations. We had his cell phone number, had his wife's number, his son's number. We were monitoring everything they were saying, and of course we let the politician releases that information. Well, what does he do? Turn his cell phone off. Throws it away. Never talks on a cell phone again. Never did. Never talked on another cell phone. And so we just lost that great intel because we, the press, the public, Congress released that information. So, there's a fine line there of how much you tell, and some things are secret. Now, what I let the reporters in on classified stuff, on attack plans and things. Now, I didn't let them in 3 days ahead of time, like Ted said. I made 3 days in advance. He was exaggerating a little bit there, but let them see where we're going to go, because they were riding with us. But there wasn't anything the enemy could do about it anyway. But, once they knew we were there, they couldn't do much.
General, you mentioned earlier, when you become a general, you have training. Can you explain the difference between how you dealt with the media and why it was so different from Stan McChrystal and his dealing with the media?
I know Stan, I'm on well. I hate to speak badly of it, and he's an intelligent guy, but who did he pick to embed with him? Rolling Stone? Was that it, right? Rolling Stones. And then he did a lot of. I had problems with what he was doing, what McChrystal was doing, and he brought the reporter in on it, and when you go to Paris, and like I said, we're on a non-alcohol policy, you let the reporter take pictures of your guys dancing on a table in Paris, partying while your soldiers are fighting in Afghanistan. That's not smart. You don't do that. That's what happened. Then he writes, lets the reporter write about it. And the reporter should write about it because that's what he saw. But just a different. Sometimes, and Stan's a special forces guy, and they've got a little more macho, different upbringing and training and mentality than the regular Army guys got. So I don't know what all went wrong there. I never talked to them about it, but there was some very poor judgment made there. If I was going to bring in a reporter like that, I wouldn't bring in the Rolling Stones reporter. Army Time or somebody.
So were you still in touch with Ted Koppel in 2004 when he decided to read the names of the casualties on Nightline? And what's your opinion?
It wasn't on Nightline, I don't think. But maybe 2004 would have been. I didn't hear that. I was in touch with him. I've been at his home for dinner. My wife, he's had me and my wife over to. He lives outside of D.C. all the time. Been there for dinner and had dinner with him about 3 months ago in D.C. Now he's a good guy. He's a little liberal, but nothing wrong with that. So. But we had a lot of discussions in the city. Once about the war, should we attack, should we not? So, but he was very supportive the whole time, and once the decision was made to attack. But it's one of those things that happen. We lost a lot of soldiers. It's not honoring them, and I don't have a problem with it personally. Our politicians need to know that there are people dying on the decisions they make. I take that responsibility. I've got my 45 guys died based on what I told them to do. And so I take that very personally. Our president needs to take that very personally. Our congressional people who send us to war need to know that it's going to cost men and women their lives. So I don't have a problem.
I was over there when that happened, and for the most part, the soldiers understood the purpose of it. And it wasn't nearly as controversial area it seemed like. Thank you.
Do you have special emphasis on trying to find weapons of mass destruction?
You better believe it. And it was there. You know, they had it. There's no doubt in my mind he had it. I can probably go find it now. I think I know where one stockpile is, but you know, it's buried, and you know, I just saw too much evidence of it. I had too many people tell me, you know, it's there. You know, there's too many reports. So they went and looked, you know, but I had the responsibility for securing the facilities, not to look for it. And so, you know, I'm not smart enough to look for it. You know, they got to bring in special guys to look for it. So my soldiers would secure the area. We'd notify them, and they'd go out there and poke around and dig a little bit, and they would, you know, check that one off. No, we just had too many reports. So, see, he buried his airplanes, he buried his ammunition, he buried weapons. You know, I got pictures of, you know, he took all his airplanes and buried them. You know, ran them off the end of the runway 100 yards and covered them with sand. And took you know, Scud missiles and buried them in the sand. So why wouldn't he bury his chemical? And, you know, I've had reports of they've got thousands of canals. You know, they're just very great engineers. And they use water, and they got to irrigate lots. So they've got a lot of canals over there. And you know, a general told me they shut the canal down, drained it, you know, which is fairly easy to do. Buried the weapons, concreted over it, and filled the canal back up. So you got a river there now, basically flowing over them. And who's going to find that? You know, unless you drain all, you know. So there's another one where they, in a schoolyard, they went in and dug up a playground. Basically, had an asphalted playground and a basketball court. Buried, you know, all the families told us, hey, they buried stuff. They came in one night, dug everything up, came in the next night with dump trucks, and then came in the next night and paved it over again. And you know, and so you know, we sent in the team to look for it, and they have radar stuff, and well, there's something down there, but it's not what big enough for the playground. You know, so I don't know how hard they really looked. But yeah, I had 85 different sites I had to protect, secure, and you know, wait to be cleared. Where they, you know, sometime. And, you know, they've got all the sites that NATO or the UN had identified, and you know, so we had to go check all those potential warehouses and motor pools. And, you know, we just found too much evidence that it had stuff. So it'll never be found probably. And then they kill the guy that buries it, you know, and that's, you know, makes, you know, the guys that dig the hole and put it in there, and they, you know, disappear.
One question, you discussed the sort of the responsibility that the media and the Army, I want to ask this, the media and the Army both were responsible in their jobs with this operation, Iraqi Freedom, and you discussed, for example, where the killing of an innocent family, where the media understood the gravity of the situation and not reporting this and you know, trying to...
They reported it, but they didn't make a big issue.
They didn't make a big issue, thank you.
You know, you know, sometimes it, you know, it gets blown out of proportion and it gets the wrong, what spin do you put on it?
Right, which gets at my question is that they are being responsible in their understanding the gravity of the situation, but were you frustrated with any aspect of the reporting? Was there a part of the war that you saw? You talk about the soldiers hiding behind women and Saddam hiding munitions in schools, which is, from my limited perspective, I think it gets lost with the ground invasion discussion, the WMD, and so did the media fall short in any way? Were you frustrated with any part of this story that wasn't told?
Not with the embedded part. It was only after the embedded left.
Okay.
And then when we were trying to, you know, win the hearts and minds, or we found the, you know, Saddam emptied all of his ammunition depots, you know, moved ammunition out of the depot. That's really what made the insurgencies so armed and all these explosives available. He had a city block of brick houses, you know, development of like 40 houses that were just bricked up with nothing in them but ammunition. You know, nothing, they were not finished. But you know, from the satellite shot, it's a neighborhood. You know, but every house was full of ammunition. Every school, you know, half the schools in Baghdad had ammunition in them. You know, but he knew we were going to bomb it. We knew where we call them ASP, ammunition supply points. We knew where they were, so we targeted them. But he had moved everything out. He moved all of his command and control systems out. You know, of all the shock and awe that happened, all the missiles that came in, you know, all the shock and awe didn't kill anybody. You know, we had 100 wounded Iraqis, you know, from Saddam, Uday, Qusay, all the Ba'ath Party leadership and the generals, and, you know, we had a poster of 100 of them. We didn't kill one of them with shock and awe. You know, because they'd all moved. We knew we were going to bomb, and they went someplace else and operated out of their homes, or restaurants, whatever. And so they were all gotten with boots on the ground. And you can kind of relate that to what's going to happen in Iraq now, you know, because there again, we told them we're going to bomb you. So what are they going to do? They're going to stay in the headquarters with the flag flying, or are they going to, you know, leave the flag there but move someplace else? What would you do? So knowing that the bomb's going to come, you know, maybe tonight, tomorrow, the next day. So you move someplace else. And but the media, yeah, they did, you know, like even Ted gets it wrong sometimes. You know, like I said, well, I was riding in a modified Bradley. Well, I never rode in a Bradley. You know, I was in a 113 personnel carrier. And then I had another MLRS vehicle that was modified that I rode in, but I, you know, didn't ride in a Bradley. So they, you know, they report wrong, but I'm not worried about stuff like that. Doesn't hurt anybody.
General, you indicated that you know, the embeds were highly professional, deeply experienced, and whether they got it right or wrong.
Not all, but
okay, thank you. But did you notice that when the embeds left and this second crew came in, did you notice a less of professionalism, like maybe they were the B
second
team
team,
or something like that? Yes.
The second team, yeah. Yeah, no, they were, you know, the figureheads came over and did their, you know, they had to come over for a week, do their, you know, get famous, you know, show in Baghdad there. It just, they weren't involved, you know, I mean, they just stayed in a hotel half the time, and, you know, it was a dangerous place to be, and, you know, they didn't want to get out, so they were still as good, probably. Now, we did have some trial, you know, early on when we, you know, I showed you the Holiday Inn, and, you know, when we picked all these guys up, and 3 of them after 2 days in the desert, drinking hot water and eating MREs, they said, hey, where's the Holiday Inn? So they, you know, my network sent me out here, but I'm not signing up for this. I said, I'm not riding a track vehicle, and so they left, you know, we took them back in, which was, you know, they weren't getting very far for us, you know, but, they just didn't sign up for they didn't understand the embedding process. They hadn't been through any training. But the ones that committed, we had 21 days of nonstop fighting, and not everybody fought for 21 days, but there was always 2 or 3 fights going on. But I try to rotate a brigade up and let one brigade rest for a day, you know, and so maybe one brigade wasn't fighting that day. But as a whole, I mean, somebody was always fighting. And we were always moving, except, you know, sandstorm. There was 3 days when we were tied up around Najaf, and waiting for some fuel to catch up with us. But the quagmire, I think they were calling it. But now, I tell you, we were surprised. I mean, our intel, we did not have great intel. Those guys fought, you know, especially the Al-Quds and, you know, the Army did about what we thought they would do, the Special Republican Guard. All those guys did, you know, intel was good on them. But these Al-Qud guys came, you know, 3,000 were sent down to each one of these towns, and they all, every one of them fought. You know, they all came at us, and we killed them all. But I mean, they attacked, and in the middle of a sandstorm, because we couldn't have any air cover, you know, and so they just really used that as an opportunity. We're pretty blind, you know, we still had our thermal sights, we could see them, but it was degraded. I had a couple slides, I guess I missed, but you know, one was a sandstorm. We got, I mean, I've got 10 years in the Middle East now, 8 in Saudi Arabia, and I've seen a lot of sandstorms. But I mean, this was, I think, sandstorm from hell. I mean, it was bad. And in the middle of the day, it was just black, but it messed everybody's cameras up. You know, and we clean our weapons, but a lot of the cameras, they had problems after that, because that dust got into everything, and it was nasty. You know, we would stop for 2 hours. I'd tell Koppel, okay, we're going to be here 2 hours, you know, and you got 2 hours of sleep. You know, we're going to be rolling at, you know, maybe we're stopping at 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, we got to move out at 3:30. And I never had to wait on them. They were always packed, ready to go, just every time. You know, they fall out and sleep on the ground, and you know, get up and, you know, always ready. And it helped us too. I mean, he'd tell me what the other media networks were saying. Every day he'd give me about a 15-minute dump on what he'd call back to New York and see this is what all the networks. This is what Iraq's saying is happening. And because see, I couldn't see it, you know, so he would give me that. Even when we killed a family one time, you know, he said, you know, this has the potential to be a real negative story, you know, if it's spun the wrong way, you know. He says, if you want to, I'll set up and I'll let you broadcast live here, and you can give your side of the story first, and get out before the negative story gets out, you know. And so he set up, and so, you know, and he said, and make sure you express condolences to the relatives, you know. First of all, because, you know, which I probably would not have done at the time, because I was, you know, I was dead tired. But you know, he helped me get that story, the positive, not positive side of the story, but get our side of the story out. And then everybody dropped it after that. You know, nobody picked up on it.
Sir, while you were in the desert, in the heat, in the sand, and getting shot at, I was sitting in the comfort of an ABC television station. One time when Boz were all the way up to Tigris, every day talking about this on television. And one of the things I ran into was what I would say, that this is what we need to talk about, this is what we think is going to happen next and whatever, because I didn't really have a clue, but this is what, you know. And so I ran into a stone wall almost. It was one of those things, no, this is what we want concentrated on, your thoughts. So my question to you on that is, did you hear any of the embedded reporters express any kind of frustration of any disconnect between them and the networks that they all work for?
A couple of times, just negative about, you know, their story not getting out or something, but not, it was not a big issue. Trying to think back, no, it pretty much. And I understand, because, you know, there were networks that were pushing one side or versus the other side, and, you know, I could, you know, trying to, I won't say manipulate the news, but spin it, and not necessarily wanting something. What did you feel? I mean, did you, you know, I said I never
felt
saw
like the people that at the top were out of touch.
Okay.
I don't think I didn't feel that they had a political agenda.
Okay.
I just felt like that they didn't understand, yeah.
All right. Because I've always felt there's a political agenda, you know, some, you know, special to our.
Well, I'm sure some did, yeah.
But now we had, you know, they had deadlines they had to meet, and, you know, like the Nightline, Ted said, hey, I really, if it works for your schedule, you know, I've got to stop at 9 o'clock or whenever it comes, and be able to broadcast, and so, you know, if it works, if not, I'll catch it, you know, but I've got to stop, so, you know, what I do is leave my aid with them, and, you know, so we'd keep going, and then, you know, he'd link up the next morning sometime or something. But, because they did have to meet their deadlines.
Was Al Jazeera in existence then?
Pardon?
Was Al Jazeera in existence then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they cover it?
Yeah, not with me. No, we didn't have any Al Jazeera with us. No, you know, of course, we bombed their, you know, Baghdad. Not when we were the Air Force. We shot the hotel, but we didn't bomb the Al Jazeera network. No, I advised a CIA friend of mine when Al Jazeera first started. I was in Saudi then. I said, you guys need to buy Al Jazeera. I said, you really do. You know, just, you know, that'd be because they're in UAE, so that'd be a good investment. And so because it was catching on like wildfire in the Middle East, and it was because all the other networks were controlled. You know, you got Saudi has 3 channels. You know, they're all the same. You know, everything is controlled and micromanaged and orchestrated. And, you know, you only hear the news that, you know, the government wants you to hear. Al Jazeera was kind of a loose cannon. I mean, you know, and there's an English Al Jazeera, which is totally separate than the Arab Al Jazeera. I mean, it's not just taking out, you know, the Arabic and translating it. I mean, it's a totally different network. It's all owned by the same guy, but I mean, it's different. Everything's different. You know, I watched the Al Jazeera special after the war, and there was actually a Marine lieutenant in the Al Jazeera network broadcasting facility as a liaison, I guess. And he filmed some of this stuff, or had it filmed, sent it to us. But the Al Jazeera, there were 15 Al Jazeera people in the conference room there, and they were getting ready to broadcast they were analyzing the statue being pulled down. And they were saying, that's all staged. You know, I said, none of those are Iraqi people. You know, said Iraqi people, you know, the Americans bust those guys in, paid them to be there and demonstrate and beat up on the statue. I swear to God, I love it. I need to go find that footage again. But, everybody in that room, in the Al Jazeera room, signed up. I mean, they all firmly believed that all of that was staged by the Americans. That we bust those people in there, brought them from Kuwait, and staged that whole statue coming down for the news media. And there's no way in the world that we're going to change their mind on that.
Same people that staged the moon landing, I guess.
Yeah. Probably so.
General Blount, we'll take the one last question.
Okay.
This is not a question, I was going to make a comment. During one of your Thunder Run, there was somebody had a camera on one of the tanks. And it showed the tank commander standing up in his cupola there, firing, and he was firing his M16. He had a big 50 caliber sitting there, and somebody said to the one other guy that was talking about it, why isn't he shooting the 50 cal? And he said, because the bullets go a very long way, they're very large, and they keep going through buildings and stuff like that. So that there was something about that they were showing how good the Americans were, that they were being very careful with their weapons, which I thought was really impressive coming from a media that, you know, in my day in the Vietnam War had nothing very much good to say about the military. So.
Well, we went just so far out to prevent collateral damage. I mean, you know, every artillery engagement I approved. You know, we wouldn't let them use cluster bombs because they're only about 99% effective. They still got 1% that's got a. And you know, I saw probably 50 kids in the hospital in Baghdad that picked up the red ribbon, you know, with a little bomb on the end of it, and you know, blowing their legs off or something. So, but the Air Force dropped a lot of them around Baghdad. We only used them once or twice, and the rest of the time I wouldn't let my guys use them, but you know, just because of the collateral damage. But now all of our soldiers went to great lengths. Now, we also got pictures of them using AK-47s because they shot all the M16 ammunition. I picked up AK-47s.
Engaging conversation. Maybe if the CIA could set up a bar out in the hallway, really get into some details. But please join me in thanking General Blount for really wonderful.